It freaked me out. I went to my bedroom and I locked my door, just in case.
Demons cannot get through doors. Everyone knows this.
I know. No, not if they're locked.
We got to address the Suburban Women Problem because it's real.
Welcome to the Suburban Women Problem, a podcast from Red, Wine, and Blue.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for listening. I'm Amanda Weinstein.
I'm Jasmine Clark.
I'm Rachel Vindman.
And you're listening to the Suburban Women Problem. Happy New Year! We're currently between seasons 1 and 2. Just a reminder, season 2 will premiere on Wednesday, January 19th. So today, we're going to flip the script and interview each other.
I'm excited to hear what juicy stories you've been holding out on all this time. So let's start with you and me, Amanda.
Oh, why thank you for having me on the Suburban Women Problem. I'm a big fan and also a huge problem for the Republican Party.
You grew up in a pretty conservative evangelical family. What was that like?
So I felt like I grew up with a strong value system and a sense of purpose that was bigger than myself. So we had kind of, very, structured. We ate dinner, together every single night. On New Year's was like the only time we went out to a restaurant, and it was usually Red Lobster, which I ended up working for. And it was still one of my weird favorite restaurants. So still love the Red Lobster. Shout out to Red Lobster. We went to church every Sunday. I ended up teaching Sunday school. My mom thought I might eventually go into early childhood education, but I decided to super rebel and go into the military and study math instead.
That's a pretty big difference between early childhood and math and the military. So out of everything you've done, what's your proudest accomplishment?
It is definitely graduating from the Air Force Academy. That was just a dream of mine for many, many years, so since middle school. And for me, it was a big deal. No one else in my family had gone there. So that was a huge accomplishment for me.
It's a very commendable accomplishment. And then after graduation, you incurred 5 years of service. So to pay back your education, but as part of it. So I think that not only is it a difficult 4 years, but then you are still in service to your country. And thank you for that, by the way.
Oh, well, thank you.
So what's the scariest moment in your career or your life?
All right. So this is kind of silly, but it is one of the scariest. So when Casey was out of town one time, I decided to watch The Exorcism of Emily Rose. I don't know why I watched that by myself in the house, but I did. And I know it was a bad move. But in this movie, a demon is coming when stuff shakes. So it freaked me out. I went to my bedroom and I locked my door, just in case.
Demons cannot get through doors. Everyone knows this. So
I know.
It's obviously the
not
best
if they're
move.
locked,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I get in my bed and I kid you not, the doorknob started shaking. I am not kidding you. The doorknob starts shaking. I literally cover myself with my blanket because that will also help.
Mm-hmm.
When you cover yourself with your blanket, the demons won't go. They won't look under there. And then I peek out and it shakes again. And I think I almost wet myself. And finally I look and my cat stuck its paw under the door and was shaking the door to try to get in because I locked the door and I never do that. And my cat wanted in.
A lot of people think cats are demons. So actually, I think that's...
I know, it relates.
And what did you learn from this, Amanda, about the movie choices when your husband is out of town?
I do think that was the last horror-ish movie I've seen. I don't think I've watched another one since then. And this was a number of years ago.
That's fair.
Yeah, I made poor choices. I made better choices now.
What is your favorite thing about being a mom?
So a kind of weird thing for me is I actually really like getting older. I got a few grays now and I love them. And one of my friends is like, you can totally dye those. And I was like, no, I earned them. I want them here. And I also love watching my kids get older. I don't long for the days when they were babies or when they were younger. I love them getting older. I think it's fun to have these conversations and watch them become people. I love watching them process the world. So I took my oldest daughter to see Wicked, and I loved hearing what she thought about the characters and hearing her talk about Glinda, she acts nice, but she isn't. And I was like, oh, girl, that was a good observation. And then I took my younger daughter to see The Nutcracker, and hearing her process what she thinks is going on in The Nutcracker was very, the Nutcracker, when you think about it, it's kind of like a trippy. It's she was like, who's this rat king? Is he good or bad? Where are they taking him? And like the people around us were just laughing as she asked probably 138 questions during the Nutcracker. But I love watching my kids get older. It's so fun watching them become, humans that are, full adults getting there. I love it.
I agree. It is a really amazing thing. Okay, so the pandemic has been hard on all of us, but how have you grown for the better in the last 2 years?
I think it has allowed me to sit down and think about where my passions really are and what drives me the most. And I think it is reaching out to people and, getting good conversations out there about especially good economic policy. So that has been like kind of realizing that is really where my passion is.
Well, you're very good at it. I'm going to say you're very gifted, and everyone should follow you on Twitter because you talk about things in a very relatable way. And,
well, thank you.
We really want people to understand. And I think that's great. Thanks for talking to me. Thanks for telling us more about Amanda.
Woohoo! That was so fun. After the break, Jasmine will come back so we can chat about her and her life. So Jasmine, welcome back. You're a state rep in your home state of Georgia. You have a PhD in microbiology. You teach nursing. You're a mom. You're a busy lady.
That pretty much sums up my life. In the middle of all that, I actually do eat and sleep and do some other things as well. But yes, I pretty much have my hands in a lot of different cookie jars. But yeah, I do a lot.
All right, let's jump back in time to 10-year-old Jasmine. What did you want to be when you grew up?
So when I was younger, so my dad is a doctor and I've always wanted to be a doctor, just like my dad. Not a PhD doctor, which I am now, but a medical doctor like my dad. We would go sometimes when he was on call. We would go to the hospital with him. And even though I had no idea what he was doing, like when he went back in the back to do his rounds or whatever, I just knew that he was like a doctor and he was doing stuff and I could see it. So I really enjoyed just watching his life and all the different things he wanted to do. So I knew I wanted to be a doctor and I was a super science nerd. So everything kind of fit into place. And so I went into college thinking oh yeah, I'm going to be a doctor when I grow up.
Oh, very cool. Do you have a sliding doors moment, something where you can look back and think, if I'd made a different choice, my life would be completely different?
Yes. So I would say I have several sliding doors moments. One of my sliding doors moments was the moment I decided I was going to go into politics.
Oh, yeah.
I would definitely say that there are a million reasons to not go into politics. And I have several reasons right here living in my home. But for this, I really felt like it was something that I kind of should do. And I felt compelled to do it. And then all the stars aligned as far as the person running in my district, running unopposed. And it just felt right. And so that is definitely my sliding doors moment as far as how I got to where I am today, as far as being a state rep. And I often wonder what I would be doing if I had decided not to run for office.
Ooh, what would you be doing?
I'd probably be trying to help other people get into office or registering voters or something like that. But yeah, I don't know. It's really strange to try to rewind that and
think where you'd be.
See what other path that would have taken me down if I had not done what I did.
Okay, so you talked about how crazy it is to get into politics. I want to hear from you. What's the worst part about campaigning?
Asking for money is the worst part.
Yeah.
It's just one of those necessary evils because you have to have money to run a robust campaign because people have to know who you are and it's just not free to get your name out there. And so you have to ask for the money, but I have never, ever, ever, that's never been my strong suit my entire life, no matter what I'm doing. I am not really good at asking people for things. And so that part is tough.
Yeah, I think that's hard for women because we're taught, do it yourself, don't ask, and money is not something you polite ladies talk about. So
exactly.
All right, but what's the best part of campaigning?
I would say talking to voters. I really, really enjoy meeting voters at their door. The surprise when I knock on someone's door and they answer the door and they're like kind of skeptical, like, who are you? And why are you knocking on my door? And I hand them my, my walk card or, the thing that I hand to voters so they can know about me. And they look at the picture on it and they look at me and they're like, wait, this is actually you.
All right. Out of everything you've done, what's your proudest accomplishment?
I would say my proudest accomplishment is raising awesome kids. So, and I'm still doing it every day. So I'm still accomplishing it every day. But, I really take pride in, being a mom.
Oh,
I got some awesome kids.
I love it. And I love hearing your stories of Jada when she's like, yeah, I'm going to be president. I'm like, yes, get it, girl.
Yes,
love it.
Exactly.
All right. Last question. The pandemic has been hard on all of us, but how have you grown for the better in the last 2 years?
I would say this pandemic really made me sit down and focus on things a lot more. I was always on the go. Honestly, I was always gone, always out of the house, always doing things just on the go. And the pandemic has really sat me down. But not only has the pandemic done that, I would say the other thing is that it has made me a lot more confident to talk about microbiology in public spaces. It needed to be, we needed those voices. And so I was really happy to be able to contribute that.
That'll be great when you're campaigning again, because it's basically like the pandemic is this framing of like, this is why you need Jasmine Clark in your state house. Like, let's make it very clear. All right. Thank you, Jasmine. It was great to chat with you, and it's fun getting to know you a little bit better.
All right. After the break, Rachel will come back and I'll get to interview her. Rachel, are you ready for your interview? I'm really looking forward to talking to you today.
I'm ready.
All right. So let's start with little Rachel. So you grew up in Oklahoma. What were you like as a kid, and what did you want to be when you grew up?
I was, the person whose desk had to be next to the teacher because I talked too much. And boy, are those chickens coming home to roost with my daughter. Somewhere my parents are very delighted every time that I have this discussion with her. But what did I want to be? I mean, I thought I would be a teacher because that's what my family did. They were all educators, and that is what I studied. And that's probably what I saw myself doing. And life's crazy. Takes lots of twists and turns.
I could totally see you as a teacher. Also, I completely empathize with the whole getting bad marks for talking too much in school.
But look at now, we're using it for good. Okay. So take that.
Some awesome people in this world got bad marks for talking too much in school.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say. All right. So do you have a sliding doors moment or something where you look back and think, if I had made a different choice, my life would be completely different?
I do. I think when I was 24, I moved to Israel, and that changed my entire life. I think the second thing that would have my sliding doors moment, and it wasn't really a choice I made, but if our daughter, Sarah, who was born in 2009, she was born very early at a little over 24 weeks gestation, and she lived a week. If she had lived, she probably would have been, pretty profoundly disabled in ways. So that also would have been a tremendous, difference to my life today. And so I think about that a lot as well, because Sarah was born at 24 weeks and not 25 weeks gestation, when they automatically would have, saved her life. We had to make the decision, do we want to resuscitate? And we obviously made that decision, but, what if she had survived and she'd been profoundly disabled? And then that would have been the decision we made. And there were people after the fact that weren't in that room and, weren't there with us, who were kind of cautioning it. We're like, well, the decision's already been made. So this is what we've done.
Right.
But I just, there's this little saying, and I think Mary Engelbright, who I love, has a little picture, whatever she draws. It's not a cartoon, but it's great. And it's like, don't look back. You're not going that way. And I always try to remember that in life. Like, I'm not going that way. And I can't look back and, regret those decisions that I made.
Right. The windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror for a reason.
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah. So just curious, like what were you in Israel for? Like what brought you or took you to Israel?
The short answer is I work for the Southern Baptist Convention for the International Mission Board, working with women in refugee camps. I worked in an office. I worked, there were summer camps. So I did a lot of different things in that almost 3 years. Yeah, so that's the short answer of what I did. And it just really widened, obviously, my worldview. I realized that people are more alike than they are different.
Yeah, it's really, really, really interesting. I always think it's interesting when people get a chance to leave the United States for whatever reason. I think that it is an eye-opening experience that really kind of changes people. Because I think that America here, we teach everything to be so America-centric and like, we are the best at everything. And then when you kind of like leave and you go to other places, you see America has its pros and its cons, but like the world is really big. I love that you had that opportunity. All right. So out of everything that you've done, because you have done some amazing things, what is one of your proudest accomplishments?
Staying married. Somehow this has come up a lot lately. I don't know. I've been talking about this a lot lately, but marriage is work, and I never judge anyone who doesn't stay married. And I think there are a lot of reasons why someone should not stay married. It really doesn't matter because everyone gets to make their own choices in life. So it's immaterial. And
then in social media land, like navigating relationships with social media, like it is tough, especially when like the whole world seems to be in your relationship, or people put their relationships on social media and they only show like the shiny, gleaming parts of the relationship.
Yep.
And it makes you wonder, like, what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. I don't know if Alex said this in his book, but he often tells people this. This might be why we don't get invited to a lot of weddings, but he says the first 6 months of marriage, he wouldn't wish that on anyone. It is so hard inviting someone into your life, but having to make concessions.
Yeah, it really, really is. All right. So along with being an amazing wife, you are also an amazing mommy. So what is your favorite thing about being a mom?
My favorite thing about being a mom is just the opportunity that I have to be a mom. It was a very long road for us. Before our daughter Sarah was born, I had many miscarriages and ectopic pregnancies all over the world. Literally. My first was on Mother's Day, the first year we were married. And then I had an ectopic pregnancy in Moscow when we were actually there for my brother-in-law's wedding. And when we lived in Ukraine, I had one as well, in Germany. And then with Sarah, with the loss of Sarah, that was obviously tremendously difficult. So when I was pregnant with Ellie, I was on bed rest 9 weeks at home and 9 weeks in the hospital. And it was Alex's first semester at Harvard for graduate school.
Oh, wow.
So I was alone a lot, and I did have family that would come like basically every other week. So that was something to look forward to. And then when I was in the hospital, it was a lot easier. Plus I was further along, so it was less scary because obviously the danger was that I would go into premature labor again. And they really, at that point, didn't know why I had Sarah so early. So, I think I'm proud that I don't miss the forest for the trees. It's getting harder as she gets older. It was easier on that when she was little. But I try to keep that in mind. And I try to just enjoy all the stages.
Right.
Again, Alex's advice is he wouldn't wish the first 6 months of marriage on anyone. And my advice for new parents is every stage ends. The good ones and the bad ones, they all end. So don't think you're a horrible parent, but also don't get too high on yourself and think you're a great parent, because the stage where they eat all the green things ends too.
Yeah, as I say, the stage where they love doing the dishes and love running the vacuum, that goes away. It actually goes away.
But we all have those moments where we're like, oh my gosh, I am super mom.
Exactly.
Look at this. Look at what's happening. And then, nope.
Yeah.
But, the nights when they come into your room every night because they're scared, that ends too. And then you're like, the first couple nights you like it. And then you're like, they don't need me as much anymore. And they're growing up. So I think just getting through it, not being crazy neurotic is one of my favorite parts. But a shorter answer is that I think I'm really proud that I'm raising a little human who people like to be around.
Yes, I think that is a good accomplishment. We even had a guest who talked about that, right? About raising kids that are not assholes. And I think we're all doing a very good job. Yes. All right. So we talk all the time about small victories. That's like my favorite thing to talk about because I have to celebrate them. Otherwise, I'd probably curl up in a corner in the fetal position a lot. So what is your favorite small victory from this year?
I think just finding my voice and using it more. The victory is giving myself permission to do it, finally.
What has been, I guess, the most rewarding thing about finding your voice, whether that be through this podcast or being through a contributor to USA Today? Like, what would you say is the most rewarding part of all of that?
What we do on this podcast and how we elevate everyday women is what I find most rewarding and probably what I'm most proud of about the podcast in general. I love talking to famous people just like everyone else, or, very accomplished women. And that's amazing as well. But I really think I did an interview last week and I think where we fix this and how we go forward is we do this on a grassroots level. And that means having the conversations, which is something we always talk about, just having the conversations. So it's been extremely rewarding for me to be able to amplify those voices and to encourage myself and other women out there who, in the midst of our busy days and everything that we're going on, that we can find time to do it and we can give ourselves permission to let something slide so that we can devote an hour or two to something else. And the world is not going to come crashing to an end if we leave some dishes in the sink overnight. I hope that the podcast has done that for me and it's given me that perspective. I hope it's given other people that perspective as well. And that is what I found so rewarding, that permission.
Same.
Okay, let's get Amanda back in here for our group rapid fire.
Hi again. I can't wait to get to answer some rapid fire questions ourselves.
Okay. Who would you want to be stranded with on a desert island?
Casey, of course, my husband. He's wonderful. But if we are eliminating him, then it would be like Tina Fey. She's so funny.
I don't have favorites, including favorite people. But I guess if I had to choose, I guess I could do like an Idris Elba. And we could just like play out like, a scene from an island movie, him shirtless. So yes, Idris Elba. Rachel?
So if I were stranded on a desert island with someone other than my husband, I would say someone really smart and funny. So this is kind of weird because you guys might not know who he is, but Tim Miller, who is a former Republican comms person, and he writes for The Bulwark, and he is often on MSNBC on Nicole Wallace. My grandma is like his biggest fan, but he's witty, he's funny, and hopefully his husband won't mind that I want to take him to a desert island with me.
Got it. All right. Next question. What fictional character would you most want as president?
Oh, definitely Leslie Knope. She'd be great.
I was thinking Atticus Finch, and I don't know why that just comes to mind, but
I see that.
He's seen some things, he's been through some things, and I picture also, I've also obviously read the book, but I've seen the movie, so Gregory Peck just seems very commanding and presidential.
This one's really hard for me. I think my instinct or like my impulse would be Leslie Knope, just off the top of my head, but yeah.
All right. What's your favorite song to sing at karaoke? Jasmine, we know you love karaoke.
Yes. Okay. If I were putting on a karaoke concert, because I've never done this before, Proud Mary, and full blown with backup dancers and dancing and a lot of hair throwing around and rolling on the river. Followed by Journey, Don't Stop Believing with lots of air guitar. So those are my two. My top two, but I genuinely could put on a full hour long karaoke concert all by myself because I love karaoke that much. What about y'all?
I don't really do karaoke, but it would be, if I did, it would be Martina McBride. Any Martina McBride song. I love singing to her. Independence Day is my favorite.
So when we lived in Moscow, not only was our house bugged, obviously, but our car was as well.
I do sing in the car.
So I would often take a song and dedicate it to the FSB, which is the security services.
Oh,
so I have kind of a whole playlist, but Stronger by Kelly Clarkson comes to mind.
I love it.
And I Will Survive. But during the impeachment process, every day we woke up and we would ask Alexa to play Tom Petty's Won't Back Down. And we started every day with that. But I do really love some Lizzo. So I could also do that.
Oh, yeah. Now I want Russia to create an album of songs by Rachel and release it as an album someone could buy.
Mm-hmm. They probably have it. I don't know if they still have the tapes. Yeah. What was your very first job, Jasmine?
Okay, so my first job was actually taking tickets at our Whitewater, water park. It's like the Six Flags with the water park side of it.
Yeah.
And it was the first job I ever had. It was a summer job, but we also had teachers working there as well because teachers around here needed a summer job in order to survive. So we were working alongside our teachers. It was this very strange dynamic. But then my next favorite job, which is a job that I don't even know exists anymore, I was a photo lab technician, and I used to develop the pictures. You would bring me your film, and I used to have to fiddle around in this.
Did you see all the pictures?
I did every picture. I did every single picture. We looked at every single one.
Juicy. Wait, what was the juiciest one?
Oh man, we definitely had some, and I was a teenager, so we definitely had some that I was ooh, I don't know if I should be looking at this. Because I don't think people realized we saw them. I think they just thought a machine, and a machine did do it, but we had to check them. We had to go through and check them all.
Oh, my students today some of them don't even know what a camera with film means. They don't understand film and a camera, it's so interesting to hear. They're I don't know what you're talking about. I'm all right. Yeah. All right. I'm old.
That's my children. They're what is film? What do you mean?
Yeah. So my first job, as I said, was at Red Lobster so that I could eat the Red Lobster food. No, I never got sick of it. I ate it every time I worked. And I was a hostess. I was also a prep cook. What else did I do? Bus girl, I guess it was. But I was the one you first saw. And I said, welcome to Red Lobster. How many are in your party? Would you like smoking or not smoking? Also, we don't have that anymore either.
Yes, that is not a question anymore.
It's like a trip down memory lane. My first job was working at the concession stand at the Little League Park in Edmond, Oklahoma, when I was 15.
That sounds fun. All right. So who was your first celebrity crush?
Mine was Joey McIntyre from New Kids on the Block.
I love it. All right, Rachel.
My first celebrity crush was Jake from 16 Candles.
My first celebrity crush was actually Lorenz Tate from Love Jones.
All right. If you could only pick one, which would it be? A day on the slopes or a trip to the beach?
Oh, beach all day for me.
I used to be a slopes girl, but then my husband really loves the beach and I went to the beach more. And so I'm going to have to say beach.
Yeah, mine's going to be beach too. I've actually never been skiing. I've been snowboarding, but it's just not my thing.
I like to ski. We skied often when I was growing up, but I would still say beach now. So what's your favorite 80s movie?
I don't look at decades. I get decades confused. I don't know if that is a thing, but mine is Troop Beverly Hills. I loved that movie. I have actually watched it since the 80s. I still love it.
That's a great one.
I don't know. I'm really bad about decades too, because everything is all a blur. I just feel like things happen in the 1900s. They all feel like It's all a blur now. I don't know. Is The Goonies?
Yeah.
80s?
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, that's 80s.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I like that movie.
Mine is Baby Boom.
I love Baby Boom. That is another one of my favorites.
My favorite movie. It's really, really my favorite movie.
All right. So now that we're out of the 80s, let's jump into the later 1900s. What is your favorite 90s TV show?
Mine is Friends.
Law and Order. I seriously, I loved Law and Order.
Law and Order was good.
All of them, like all the detectives in the original Law and Order.
I would have to say, for me, Family Matters. Is that
I love Family Matters. Yeah, with Steve Urkel.
Yeah, that show was like,
oh, I've seen all of them.
Oh my gosh, I love that show. I could probably binge watch Family Matters right now. Like, that show was awesome.
I use a Family Matters clip in my class about there's a Christmas one where they couldn't find, I think they called it Freddie Teddy, but it was like after Teddy Ruxpin.
Mm-hmm.
And we use that to talk about monopolists. This is going to get real boring real fast. But about what companies actually do with monopolistic competition with the Freddie Teddy. All right. This podcast is produced by Red Wine and Blue. So let's end on this. What's your favorite wine?
I love all wine. I used to be really big into like Riesling and like white wines, but then I had a friend who was like really big into red wine, and they drank red wine with everything.
What a rebel.
I know. So I started drinking reds more, and I think out of the reds, I love cabs.
Same. In the winter, I like my reds a lot. Like in the evening, a glass of red. I call it my RBG glass of wine every night. And in the summer, I like whites. Although when we're out, I do like to start with a Prosecco if I'm going to have more than one.
Nice.
I'm not much of a drinker, actually. I pretty rarely drink.
I'll make up for you, Rachel.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I'll have your glass.
So there was like this troll harassing me recently that kept talking about how much I drink. And I was like, yeah, actually, I don't drink. But I do like Pinot Grigio, and I will have, if I like, that's probably my wine of choice.
All right. Well, this was a lot of fun. Getting to know you ladies and hearing these rapid fire questions was my favorite. So thanks again for listening to this special fun episode of the podcast. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for the premiere of season 2.
I'll be talking to Soledad O'Brien, and I'm very excited.
Be sure to tune in Wednesday, January 19th for a brand new episode of the Suburban Women Problem. See you then.
The Suburban Women Problem was created by Red Wine and Blue. Our executive producer is Beverly Batt. Our producer and editor is Amy Thorstensen, and our video producer is Ashley Hufford. If you're ready to be part of the Suburban Women Problem, head over to redwine.blue and sign up for our newsletter so you don't miss a thing.